Hi, everybody. Welcome to Politics in Chester, another edition where we're meeting candidates who are on the ballot in the coming town election. I'm Joe Biedrzycki, filling in this political season for Carl Knudsen, who developed the program and has written all of the questions. Joe Castricone and Kat are in our control booth as producers today. I'm talking with Nick Rychlik. Did I get it right?
Yes, sir. Yes, you did.
We're in the battle of the Polish names here. Nick is going to be running for select board, and do I understand this is the first time you've run for a political office?
It is, yes.
In this town or any town?
Yes, it is.
How long have you been in Chester?
I've been in Chester for about 3 years now.
Okay.
Yes.
And what motivated you to get into the game?
Well, I moved from Manchester to escape the big city hustle and bustle. I came down to Chester. This is the town that I felt had the best small town values. We have a church on the corner. We have one, a library on the other. The whole community knows each other, and it just has the feel of the small town that everybody dreams of. I just really want to be a part of that and really, keep Chester Chester and support that. I don't want to Manchester our Chester. So.
And can you back up and tell people a little bit about your background, both professionally and personally?
Sure. So I'm a nurse, and I want to take care of Chester the way I take care of my patients. Excellent. I've been a nurse. That's been my whole career. I'm in the medical field as a clinician. So, I work in the ER. We see a lot of different things. A lot of different cases come in, whether from motor vehicle accidents to stub toes. And, being able to work with that diverse population is something I feel is an advantage, especially with working with the different people in the town, and ensuring that everyone's heard and that everyone's concerns are needed and addressed as well as they possibly can be.
Sorry. Oh, I know what I was going to ask. Are you a New Hampshire native?
I'm not a New Hampshire native. So I moved around a lot with my family. We were always searching for a better job. We were escaping, other states that just weren't the best, So I've lived in Pennsylvania for most of the time. And when we found New Hampshire, we knew this was the state for us. Moved to Manchester, just in search of finding, the town that we wanted to move to. And Chester was the one that fit the bill. This was the best town in the whole state that we.
There is a definite cultural shift when
There
you come
is.
here from elsewhere in the country.
There is, yeah.
What are the things that make you a good candidate for a select board person?
Well, I'm easily accessible. I talk to all these different people at the transfer station. I handed out my card a lot, and I've received a lot of emails from different people expressing their concerns. Again, as I said, I'm a nurse, so highly adaptable, highly, able to work with, again, diverse backgrounds, ensuring that everyone is heard, all their needs are met, and this is my new home, and I want to keep Chester. I have a innate sense of belonging to this town, and I really want to ensure that the people are taken care of, and that the town that we all reside in is taken care of to the fullest.
How do you think the town would benefit from what you bring to the table?
Well, after attending a lot of the different meetings, I've seen a few issues. One of which is the increasing taxes, and the budget has to be looked over again. I want to implement baseline budgeting, break it all down, make sure that we go through and only have the bare necessities, what we need to ensure that the town runs efficiently, that our fire and police force are taken care of and that they're safe when they're out there on the roads, and that our highway department is able to, efficiently and effectively care for the people in this town, ensuring that there's safe transit back and forth. I know that there's a new Section 8 development that would be coming in, 32 new houses, and that would raise our taxes additionally too, and that's just something I wouldn't be in support in. I don't feel it aligns with the town's values. So, just taking money out of the pockets of the people, we wouldn't be able to do that. And I want people to be able to live in this town and stay in this town. Right? Someone bring the concern to me that he came to this town to retire. Unfortunately, next year he's going to be moving. I met him at the transfer station, and he's really upset about it. He said, taxes have raised so much that I can't retire here. I can't afford to live here anymore, and I'm going to have to move. And that was really disheartening, because a community like this comes around once in a while. You don't find this everywhere. And when someone has to leave, it's just heartbreaking. So I want to do everything in my power to be able to keep Chester.
One of the big considerations for folks who are running for office is the time that it's going to take to successfully fulfill if you are elected. I assume you're still working full time.
I am, yes.
Do you think beyond the Thursday night meetings you're going to have time to do select board homework?
I believe I will. Again, being a nurse, a lot of the shifts vary, but my shift would allow me to fulfill all my obligations and then some, whatever research is required, any homework, to ensure that the people are taken care of. I'm blessed to have my position, to have a position that would allow me to have such a flexible schedule. You're really only required to work 3 days a week, max, and with 12-hour shifts, it's something that allows you to have this kind of free time and take on additional responsibility of caring for people in the town.
The New Hampshire Municipal Association offers training for folks who are new to public service positions. Is that something you'd be willing to get involved in? And
I would, yes.
What would you like to learn from it?
Well, I'd like to learn about more of the policies that just aren't aware, that don't really get brought up in meetings. Really what goes on behind the scenes that not a lot of people know about. I know that there's a lot of meetings that happen behind closed doors, and that there are a lot of policies that people just don't understand. And if you were at the previous meeting about the Section 8 that had to be rescheduled to the 13th, you would know that people were really disheartened and brought up concerns about a lack of communication, problems with websites, paperwork, really clerical stuff. And if I'm better acclimated to that aspect of it, I'll be able to address concerns more appropriately. I'll be able to talk to the people and ensure that everyone's concerns are addressed. Because if I'm speaking from that knowledge, then I'll have all the answers that anyone needs.
One of the things that select board members have to do is build relationships and trust with the folks in town who work here. What would be your approach to that?
Well, we do have a canvassing campaign. I'm going to be knocking doors really whenever I have the free time to, and that's a lot of free time. So I'm going to be knocking the doors. I have met a lot of people at the transfer station. In fact, the first time meeting Jim was at the transfer station. We had a great conversation. But again, people reach out to me via email, via text. Give my card out to a lot of different people. Everyone I meet really. And one of the concerns that was addressed to me was that there's this mom who is working full-time, unable to take her kids to the library, during the week, and she would like for the library to have some hours on Saturday. I know that is a big ask, but if we could, have some kind of compromise where, more children are able to go to that library, because it's a beautiful library. People who've been to the library, it's a great place, really well maintained, and I want people to be able to use the facilities of the town. So,
the town employees are a big part of your constituency too. How many of them have you been able to meet and interact with while you're campaigning?
Well, actually, I've met with Chief Berube and Chief Gladow, the police and fire chiefs, and they really have the same concerns about the town. They would both like to be able to be more, I don't know if the word is independent, but they want to have more of an ability to hire staff instead of having it go straight to administration, because it was voiced to me that new hires have the concern that there's a lack of structure, that they can't, negotiate directly with their superior officer, and that there would be really just a breakdown in, the structure, and there's no ability to negotiate or be aggressive, because we are one of the towns that have trying to think how to word it. We are one of the towns that are the lowest paying for services for police and fire, and any ability to be what's the word I'm thinking of? Not aggressive, but equitable, and be able to negotiate in favor of getting more people in here, more staff with the certifications, because again, that's a big deal. A lot of these people, they're leaving our departments and going to Derry or Auburn, because again, they are paying more, and with our matrix the way it is right now, it's been voiced to me that there's no light at the end of the tunnel. So people who want to stay in Chester long term or work in Chester, it's really tempting for them to just leave Chester and go straight to 20 minutes down the road and work in Derry. They're one of the higher growing towns here, so if they can see a longer career, they're going to leave, and we need to address that issue.
The select board divvies up the long list of committees and departments in town and serve as liaisons between the town government, if you will, and those committees and the people that they serve. Have you identified any one of those that you would like to work with, or you think you would be able to bring some strength to?
I haven't identified one specifically, but again, I want to know every department head that is willing to have a conversation. I would like to talk to everybody and hear everyone's case. As of now, I've only talked to the police department and fire department because they are two of the biggest services here. But I would like to be able to meet with everyone. And in fact, we had discussed, me and the fire chief, Chief Gladow, had discussed having monthly meetings. Any way that we could address any concerns that are coming up as they happen, when they happen. And again, coming back to that accessibility, being able, a phone call away to address any issues that come up. And then being preemptive with it too. So, hey, do you see any increased expenditures? Are you having any issues with really anything? Whether it's equipment or really anything.
I want to go back a little bit to your professional career.
Sure.
Are there any skill sets that you would bring to the position that you think would be a specific asset to the select board?
Yes. Specifically, I would say, again, my ability to talk to many different people, being able to have that, being able to establish rapport, and being able to talk to various different people from various different walks of life, because that's what I deal with all the time in the hospital. Being able to hear people out and really get to the root cause of what's needed. Especially, when you're in that medical environment, people bring up a lot of issues that's going on, but what really needs to be addressed is what that core issue is that's creating all these symptoms. And if we can find that out and address it, then that will hopefully cure the whole situation.
You've talked about some of the issues that people have brought to your attention and some of the things you've noticed yourself. What do you think is the really biggest challenge that faces the town in the coming 5 or 10 years?
The biggest issue that really is on the horizon for the town would be the lack of income from businesses to offset that tax burden. And I know that that's really a polarizing thing to say, but we need to be able to allow some commercial businesses in responsibly that align with Chester's values. Now, I'm not talking about a strip mall. I'm talking about a nice coffee shop, or I know a lot of people here actually have businesses that run out of their home. I know you do. But a lot of them are hidden, and a lot of them really align with Chester's values. I know that there's a new ambulance business that's opening up down the street, and if we can keep businesses that align with Chester's values, and again, a lot of them already are aligning with Chester's values. You can't see a lot of them. They're in people's backyards, they're in their homes, they're in their bedrooms, and if we can bring in more business, that again, I want to really hammer home that align with Chester's values, and that really align with the town and the community as a whole, that'd be able to offset that tax burden and bring in more income to help support the town. Another issue I would say is that we're spending without a plan going forward. So I know there was a motion a few meetings ago about buying more equipment for the highway, and our highway does need to be supported. However, with some of this equipment we're buying, we have nowhere to house that. So if we're buying a brand new excavator, we don't have a garage to put that in. And I know that the conversation was brought forward again. We're going to place plows in there. We're going to have the excavators in there. We're going to have our new trucks in there. That's all well and good, but it was brought forward that there's discussions of having, bedrooms, bathrooms to, house some of the plow drivers. We'd have to repave the entire parking lot, expand this, town center, and we need to really plan for these things. We can't just, once we have the money to go out and buy things. We need to actually have a structured, itemized plan before going ahead and just buying things. Because, if we're going to buy this excavator or this new plow truck, it's going to be sitting outside. Hydraulic lines are going to deteriorate. It's going to get, if equipment, you have sun damage, you have just weather, you have rain, you have snow, you have sleet, you have ice, you have salt damage. These things have to be taken care of. They're not just, tools you can leave outside. It's not a shovel. These things, they have electric components. They have hydraulics. We have to be careful. We want to protect our investments as a town.
Suppose you get elected and the select board says everybody gets one new initiative to bring forward to discuss. What would be on your list, your wish list?
My wish list? So my wish list, number one would be keeping Chester. I would want to continue to lower the taxes, support the local community. I know you said one thing, but
Okay.
if we have a wish list. And
Wish
then,
big.
listen, hey, you got to shoot for the moon and then land on a star, however that saying goes. But yeah, if you shoot for the moon, you land on a star. But we got to lower the taxes. We have to support the local community, and that's the biggest thing, supporting the local community and the people in Chester. And then, for our local services, some of their facilities need to be updated. We're going to have to go about that responsibly without raising taxes. So if we can, I know our police building has some asbestos tile in there. If we could just get that out. I know there's a lot of things in both buildings that need to be addressed. But if we could just get the asbestos tile out of the police department, because that's just a big safety issue. I want to protect our officers and make sure that they're, really, if there's anything we can do that. And then for the fire department, if we could get an alarm system, I don't know how much it costs. I would have to, again, follow up with the fire chief. But if it's attainable, it's safer and more effective, and able to notify our firemen better, then we could do that. But again, supporting our local services, ensuring that the taxes are low, and taking care of the people of Chester. Those would be my big three.
Are you familiar with how the town's budgeting process works?
Yes. So we go through the budget committee for a lot of things. We have a council. We have our what are they called? We have our what's the word? I don't remember the name for it. People talk to the council goes to the budget committee, and the select board works with the budget committee in order to finalize a list of what we can bring forward.
And do you know how the town's boards interact with each other?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Because the select board kind of becomes the hub of all of that activity.
It all gets brought to the
as
select
you've
board.
said. How about the town's capital improvement program? Are you familiar with that?
I know a little bit about it. If there's anything you could educate
Well,
me on.
that's one of the keys when you were talking about looking forward in terms of how money is spent.
Yes.
That's basically a long-term budget.
Yep. So with the capital improvement plan, we're going forward and supporting our services. But again, with all these different plans, we'd have to go through it and itemize everything with every plan going forward. And, looking at it through the articles and everything like that, we just need to, again, go through everything and make sure that we're going through and itemizing everything, keeping all the necessities, and future planning for everything too. Because like I said before, we can't just go out and buy things. We need to make sure that we have a plan to protect our investments and making sure no dollar goes to waste.
The select board has the kind of middleman position of not only having to assure that the townspeople follow the state laws, but that the town committees and boards do as well. And in so doing, the select board itself has laws that it has to follow. Are you familiar with the RSAs of New Hampshire?
I am, yes.
Okay. It's a very complex thing that not everybody is fully aware of.
Yeah.
And how comfortable would you be dealing with municipal operations and financing?
Very comfortable.
How would you involve residents in the decision-making process here in the community?
You know, as I said before, calling back to the last meeting that we had about the Section 8 housing, I would ensure that everyone's informed and that their questions are answered, however many that may be. And, you know, also ensuring that any links that we have on our website aren't compromised in any way, that everything is above board, that we have any issues ironed out before it's even motioned. So that way there is no concerns, there's no thoughts of corruption, there's no thoughts of, you know, trying to keep the people out of what's going on. Because I know that was a big concern and everyone was bringing that forward. And, you know, honestly, what else were they supposed to think with all these different issues coming up? So making sure that people are informed and being able to be reached by the people. So everyone has my number and my email. If they have any concerns, they can bring them forward to me.
Obviously, communication is key. Do you think the onus is on the town to get the word out better, or is it on the residents to listen closer?
I believe that it is on the town to get it out. However, you know, a lot of these people were paying attention, but the links weren't working, and people felt like they were being, they were being blocked out. They were trying to be bamboozled. With different forms not being able to be, given forward, or if it's a link to a website that's not working. If we can just iron out every issue, and if the town is really bringing things forward to these people so that way they're well educated on what's going on and any questions are addressed, then, you know, at the end of the day, it is the town's responsibility to inform the people. And then if people are bringing forward questions that, you know, are answerable on the website, we just redirect them to there. And once they can educate themselves on what's going on, then we can answer their questions going forward.
If you had to boil down the responsibilities of a select board member to the top 3 or 4 duties, what would those be?
Number one would be ensuring the betterment of Chester as a town, ensuring that, you know, everything that's done in Chester is for Chester is done, you know, honestly and honorably. Number two would be ensuring that the taxpayer is taken care of. So not, you know, being reckless, ensuring that taxes are only raised if they have to be as a last measure. And thirdly, again, you know, taking care of the town, taking care of our budget, and taking care of the people. If there's any issues that need to be brought up, that they're addressed efficiently and quickly. And not just the people, but the services. So, you know, if the police chief has an issue, we address it immediately. If the fire chief has an issue, we address it immediately. The highway department, every department, that each issue is brought up forward and addressed immediately and efficiently and effectively after, you know, the select board men educates themselves thoroughly on the issue too, because we don't want rash decision making.
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to make a point of in a closing statement?
No, I believe everything has been addressed, and, you know, again, I just want to restate, I want to lower taxes, I want to take care of Chester, keep it Chester, and make sure that our spending is appropriate. I want people to be able to retire here and have this be their home. I don't want people to have to leave Chester. I don't want people to move to Florida to retire. I want people who are New Hampshire residents to come to this town and retire. This can be a place where, you know, kids and grandkids can visit. We have so many facilities. We have parks. We have, you know, little restaurants everywhere. We have our corner store, our library, all these different facilities in this little town. And I just really want to take care of Chester.
Great. This is Nick Rychlik. He's one of 4 names that will be on the ballot on Election Day here in town for the Select Board, and folks will only get to choose 2.
That's true.
So good luck.
Thank you.
Just a reminder about the town election. It will be at the MPR on Tuesday, May 12th, and the polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The town meeting is 2 days after that, on Thursday the 14th. That starts at 6 p.m. in the NPR. So thanks for watching this edition of Politics in Chester. Tune in again to meet the other candidates for school board and select board. These programs can be seen as scheduled on Chester PACT, Comcast Channel 6, or anytime on demand from the PACT website, which is accessible through the Chester Town website. For Carl Knudsen and the Public Access Community Television Committee here in Chester, I'm Joe Biedrzycki. Thanks for joining us.